welcome to the Social Network Show. We're here day 2 of the Social Media Strategy Summit. Dr. Nat, you were here bright and early.
I was.
And tell us all about American Express. They were the keynote speakers this morning?
They were, and they, Arlene, they are amazing. They get it from their culture to their online presences to their strategy to their tactics. Class A.
And you know what? Why don't we check out some of the questions some of the audience has, because this one right here has some very important questions.
What's your best tip for getting executives on board? Is it the data?
I think there's a few things. So one, the data. There's a word for it that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. In big companies, typically they take the executive suite and they do the whole shuffle around. It's like kind of show and tell around Silicon Valley, and you go to Facebook and you go to Twitter and they get indoctrinated a little bit in it. And then it's really funny when it starts to take hold. So our vice chairman, he's on Facebook, he's on Foursquare, he's on Twitter, and they start doing things that are like, that they really are comfortable with it, because you're like, I don't think I would do that, but hey, he's the vice chair, he can get away with that thing. But I think it's you've got to build to it. You can't shove it down their throat, right? You've got to kind of expose them to it, get them more comfortable with it. And quite frankly, I think some will get there, and some in our company haven't. And the ones that get it typically are the ones that are going to thrive, because no matter what business you're in, we're in a credit card business, but my competition is also Square is a competitor. Google is coming out with a credit card, and they don't care about the profit pool from the finance side. It's about selling ads and eyeballs. So and I would actually challenge you, in each of your businesses, likely there's somebody out there that you haven't even thought of that's in a garage somewhere that just has a couple servers that could actually change your business. Just to go back to kind of that commentary on change. Does that answer the question?
So, based on what we saw American Express, what they're doing,
they get it.
They get it. They totally get it. And so it's really, our honor here at the Social Network Show to be able to interview companies that really truly get it. And what we also saw was a bunch of other companies that are really amazing.
It ranged from American Airlines to the swimming team to the Boston Celtics, Cisco,
SAP.
It was amazing. It's an honor to be here with all those kinds of companies, because this is the front line of companies that get it and that are changing the whole future of social media.
Right. They're changing their business, they're changing their culture. They're truly getting that social media is much more than just having a Facebook presence or Twitter. What they're really understanding is that it's a way to really connect with their customers, increase revenue, and decrease costs.
I can't wait to check out this interview, so here we go.
I'm here with one of my favorite airlines, and he's going to talk. I just flew to Tulsa on American Airlines. It was a great flight. We were going to visit a bunch of companies there, call centers. And so there's a couple things I want to talk to you today about. I want to talk to you about social media and your strategy. I know initially you started in PR and kind of looking at how does that affect, but then you've really broadened how you're looking at social, and you're coming out of bankruptcy. You're really looking at now how do we recreate our brand and our company. So I want to talk about that.
Sure, that's great. Yeah, we like you said, we really kind of started out kind of being drug into social, and it was very much a learning curve for us and the rest of the business.
And that happens to a lot of companies. So I say, either it's in your cultural DNA and you happen to be like American Express or Zappos, and it's something that you naturally adopt, or you can have a PR crisis either done to you or something that you do to yourself. Some brands have done that. We've seen that happen before. And what's interesting is what's the entry point, right? And then you see what does that do to the culture, and how do people become advocates or fans, or actually see the business value.
Sure. I think very, very early we saw kind of the power of social through some of these kind of crisis type moments, but also we started to see that it was an opportunity for us to really build relationships with our customers. We saw some really engaged, very very strong kind of fanatics that would come out of the woodwork, and a lot of our growth originally was very organic, and we just felt that this was a really neat way to connect with our customers, to learn from them, to better understand them, and to offer them new things and new experiences. So that's kind of been our evolving strategy, and we've made some really great strides in the last year or so. We've even gone to a model where we've integrated reservations and customer service into the team, trained them on not just Twitter and Facebook, but also the platforms that they would currently use, and so they can assist customers. And we're now assisting customers 24/7, and we try to respond to everyone.
That's amazing. So I was at an airport
Mm-hmm.
and I was flying to London to give a speech for a company,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "Oh, we're sorry, we're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to get on that flight." And I had to stop before I went to London, and I said, "But I'm going to miss my speech, and what I talk about is customer service." And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you." So I sent out a tweet, and within 5 minutes they fixed it. And then I went back up and I showed the people at the check-in, right? I said, "They fixed it." And they're like, "How did you do that?" And so what's interesting is you can have an online business, right? But if you, and most businesses have either a storefront or some place where they're doing events or a place where they're interacting real time with customers, and managing that gap and making sure that people are trained and aware, that's really key.
Oh, it's a huge challenge for any kind of brand. What's the relationship between your digital presence and your physical presence? And but that's an area that we're looking very, very closely at. I mean, integrating social into the business is one of our key goals for this year, and that's definitely one of the things. One of the things, a little bit more on kind of the proactive side, we're doing a lot of training and things like that to address some of those things that you mentioned, but we're also trying to reach out to a lot of our kind of customer advocates as well as influencers and bloggers and bring them into the business, to give them behind the scenes looks, to take them meet different areas in the business, leaders, not necessarily leaders, and take them, like I said, to experiences like some of our initial advocates that we really saw as very, very passionate. We brought them up to Boeing and took them on a delivery flight for one of our new fleets.
They must have been just...
They went gaga. They went absolutely crazy. And it also gave us a chance to kind of tell a transformation story, which we're all about right now. We're transforming our entire fleet, as well as rebranding the airline, which is another big thing for us too. So giving people a glimpse of the thought process and the people behind the changes in this airline, in this company, and where we want to go. So, and bringing them along for the ride.
And I think that's really key, because a lot of businesses have been very, kept things close to the vest. They weren't communicating changes. They weren't saying, what, we kind of messed up, or we're trying to fix things, or we're going in a new direction. And the ability to break down those walls and that culture are really key, because we're really looking at a culture change and a change in management strategy, which if you have a very senior executive team, and I've had people look at me and say, "Dr. Nat, I've been doing business longer than you've been alive, so why should I listen to you?" And so when I get to interview people like you who are living it real time and saying, "Yep, this is transforming," and our executives are on board, it's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta hand it to our leadership team. They got it pretty quickly, and we're realizing, as most brands are, that credibility, trust, those are things that we really need to strive for in this new world. And the way to do it is to be transparent, and the way to do that is to give people who interact with you all the time. We've also found that a lot of the folks who are kind of our biggest advocates are also some of our best customers as well. So why shouldn't we give them inside access, as well as the public, to the decisions that we're making? When we announced the rebrand for announcing our new logo, our new livery, our new look, one of the things we absolutely wanted to make sure was that people weren't just talking about, "Yeah, I like it, I don't like it," and just sharing.
We've
the
seen
logo.
companies put out a new logo and then they pick on the logo. And what's interesting to me is, I don't know that the logos were ever bad, but it's interesting when there isn't content and a story
That's right.
and caring behind that, then that's what people focus on. I like or don't like it, and then they have to reverse it because they're all worried about the number of dislikes or unlikes or unfollows. And so I think it's really important that you saw beyond just the logo change, but to actually communicate to people, here's what our brand is thinking and doing, and let us know if we're on track.
Absolutely. In addition to, I mean, even just personally, I think it's a great design in the first place. One of the things we did and we were adamant about was, we need to have some kind of behind the scenes video, which we actually have this behind the scenes video that we've been doing, but we need to have something that puts human people on camera and says, this is how thoughtful we were about the process, and this is why we chose this, and this is...
Well, see, that's key, because most people don't realize, if you've never worked in a large corporation, how much time and energy goes into all of this.
Well, and they're
It just
real
looks like,
people who are working
right,
on this.
right, and they're really
And
passionate, and they
care.
really care, right? They're not just some stick in the mud, oh, well, we're going to go in this direction. They're
Yeah.
real people just like you and me.
And we know that even as a country, American represents the country in a lot of ways, and we knew that people were very, very invested in the look. So we wanted to explain that we were not taking this lightly. This was a very, very serious thing. The perception of it, the representation as an American brand, with the name American. So we did that, and we built that video, and we were able to use one of the strategies we used in social was to promote that video as opposed to promoting the logo and the livery, because we knew that stuff was going to be viral inherently, but in promote strategically the why, to get people talking instead of just yes or no, I don't like it, but oh, this is why. And we even saw some people tweets and stuff come through and say, you know what, I saw that video and okay, I see where they're going with this, and you know what, I kind of like it, it's growing on me, or things like that. And that was, we just said, all right, we
did the right thing.
We did the right
Yay,
thing.
team.
Yeah. Another example in a way that we tried to shape the conversation, when we filed for bankruptcy, on Twitter, our brand trended, and actually I think Twitter crashed that day. It was huge. We knew that we were going to trend anyway, so why pay for a promoted trend or do any of those kind of things? We knew we were going to trend, but what we tried to do was use the hashtag New American in all of our comms, use it in the promotion, use it at the events, use it as much as possible, including our responses. And instead of our brand trending that day, the hashtag trended, which means that not only they were talking about our announcement, but they were talking about in the terms that we wanted them to talk about, using our language.
See, I think that's brilliant, because a lot of times I hear from executives, well, we don't really want to be in social media because, we don't want people to say bad things. Well, one,
They're
stop
saying it already.
doing the ostrich, because they're saying it already. And if you're not there, you can't be part of the conversation. If it's going south and you don't know it, you can't nip it in the bud.
You can't direct it. And we've really found that, and I mean, people have said this before, but social media doesn't create negativity, it exposes it. And so how to react? And one of the things we found, especially since integrating customer relations and reservations into our core team, is that we've built some of our best, most vocal, strongest advocates after something bad happened or something failed.
Okay, so being a customer service expert, that's what I did for the first 20 years of my existence. What we found was that if you looked at a customer who was loyal and had no bad experience versus a customer who was loyal, had a bad experience, and had it fixed, the loyalty went up 20 points.
Absolutely. I've even had personal things with a hotel company I've used where they fix the situation. I'm absolutely going to pick that. And
because you want to know
it's
that,
visible too.
Right.
So.
Well, want to know that the company has your back, right? So do I buy from you or do I buy from you? Okay, you're going to have my back.
Correct.
It's just a natural human tendency, right? I'm going to go with the company that's going to take care of me.
And the beauty of social is you see which companies have your friends back, and you see who you're following. You're like, somebody just took care of my uncle. I'm gonna go with them too. So
Right, and it's that 1-9-90. So 1% of the people post, 9% respond, and 90% lurk, right? So the 90% is the bulk of your customers. In every industry is a little bit, the numbers move around a little bit, but generally it's a small percentage are vocal and a large percentage are watching your behavior.
Right.
And if we look at the Edelman Trust Barometer, we know that 78% or so of customers believe other people like themselves, right? So that 90%, more than they're going to believe advertising. So I see it really turning advertising's kind of whole model upside down.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the Nielsen studies as well, and everything is kind of pointing that direction. I mean, it's a brave new world. It's something we're really, really excited about, and we just want to keep listening, because the more we do this, the faster and more agile we get, and the better we know our customers, and it really has been very, very valuable for us.
So what's interesting is words like agile, right? And we are interested in change.
Not the development.
Well, but what I'm seeing is that from the taking a page from startups is, comments like fail fast, be agile, be interested in pivoting and iterating. And so I think large corporations, there used to be the saying in management consultant that it took a long time to turn the ship. And now in social, it's making it a necessity to be listening and to be integrating the feedback and to make decisions faster. And what I find with a lot of the people that customers that we work with is all I have to do is go out in social media, grab some comments, like screenshots, and they're like, "Oh, take that down. You can't take it down? Okay, help us fix that."
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's so easy just to take case studies. I mean, kind of tooting your horn and getting up there with case study after case study after case study. Now it's great because we have, leaders and other folks coming down and saying, "Can I get the latest? What are they saying? What's going on? Can we get monitors up? And can we get a big listening room?" And that's exactly where you want to be, is having your leadership and everybody else all throughout the business empower them with mobile apps that where they can see those kind of things, get the right training and everything, but so that we can all be benefiting from what our customers are saying in real time.
And this just goes back to one of my favorite guys. You may be too young to know this guy, but his name is Deming, Edward Deming.
Okay.
And he was the father of quality.
Okay.
And he said, listen to your employees, listen to your customers, take the feedback, integrate it back into your company. And he was the one who was trying to help the American auto industry. They sent him to Japan. Yeah. So, then what happened, right? So we see what's actually happening real time. And I was an engineer back then when I was in marketing and PR. And what I saw was this denseness in the reality of what customers thought and the lack of valuing that customer voice and the voice of the customer. And now it just seems like sliced bread or or peanut butter and chocolate. Of course you would do that, right? And so it's really fun to talk to someone like you who's on the front lines, who's really doing it, and who's changing the minds of leaders.
And thanks. It's a neat space, and it's an exciting time, not just for the space, but for our company as well. After I got started way back, just post 9/11, and so we've had so many challenges, but to see it kind of moving in this direction where we really are transforming it, and branding, social media is branding in real time, and if we can keep doing this well, in addition to the rebranding we're doing, in addition to the work we're doing with our people, I think it'll be a bright future. So
I can't wait to fly American.
thanks very much. Can't wait to have you.
I am here with one of my favorite people that I admire in social media. She was voted one of the top 25 most coolest people. I probably got the title wrong, but I think you're cool. The top marketing blog. So you're just amazing.
Yeah, it's top 25 women who rock social media. So I'm excited to be among these amazing women, including Ekaterina from Intel, and a lot of other really powerful women across the business.
So you're at Cisco, and you told me you have 18 people on your team. So what that says to me is Cisco is serious about social media because they're actually allocating resources.
Yeah, and that is a combination of FTEs and contractors, but we have, dedicated resources for our YouTube channel, for example. We have a dedicated community manager. We have a whole team who focuses on our social media listening and response efforts. We have people who are managing our blogs and communities. I mean, we are serious about it. It is a way for us to communicate and connect with our customers, and we want to engage with them at that more personal level.
Right, and I think that's what we're hearing today at the conference is really looking at how do we create better relationships. So my background, probably your background, through the years, we came up in traditional channels like CRM or customer service, where there was the idea of creating relationships. But now social media is enabling us for companies like yours to become more human, authentic, and direct, but then also be able to sustain a two-way dialogue. So tell me more about what you guys are doing.
One of the things that I really love is when we can turn a ranter into a raver. And that's where I think social media is really powerful, because before, if you had a bad customer experience on a phone call, you ended that phone call and that customer it ended right there for them. That was their last memory. Now they're sharing that experience, good or bad, with their friends. What the bad part is it's being shared, but it was shared anyways. The good part is we can now use it as an opportunity to engage, and we've done that countless times, going in there and saying, "Hey, we understand you had a frustrating experience. Can we help you?" And
see, that in itself means that the brand is being very human. And having worked in many call centers and listened to many calls where at 3 minutes and 50 seconds, because 4 minutes is usually the average handle time, where an agent starts to get dinged, agents would be just trying to get people off the phone. And you're right, what we looked at from Tom Peters was that 1 in 10 customers tells their friends, and when they start to tell, 10, 20 people, companies, when we looked at customer lifetime value calculations back then, but now we're looking at the power of social media. So when someone says something to one person in social media, being able to calculate the customer lifetime value based on that word of mouth, it's really growing exponentially.
Definitely. And then on the flip side, I think there's also this huge opportunity to find those opportunities from social. And we're able to find them earlier in the sales cycle. So the internet changed the sales cycle a lot. People are doing their own research and coming to the brands way down. They've already kind of made their decision, or maybe you're at the final 2 vendors. And so there's not a whole lot of selling that happens anymore. They're doing their own. But in social, it allows that opportunity to build that relationship really early when people are asking questions to their network. We're listening to those, and we're coming in, not abrasively, but just saying, hey, saw that you had some questions, we're here to help. And we will turn those questions into opportunities for us and fill lead pipeline. And so we're doing a lot of that too now, of doing listening for leads and filling the sales pipeline.
That's what's really interesting, is the idea that customers have questions is really actual interest, and it's the top of the funnel. And I rebranded the marketing funnel as the marketing pretzel, because it's in, it's out, it's upside down, but we're really looking at this opportunity to completely change how we do marketing and how we enroll people.
I totally agree. I mean, we are engaging, we're finding them at different points. So sometimes it's very early in the cycle, like you said, sometimes it's the middle, sometimes it's the end. And so, it's understanding where they're at and trying to route them to the right person. You mentioned CRM a little bit, and we're really trying to start building a social component of CRM so that we have that more 360 view of the customer and understanding where they're at, where they've been. And it also gets away from what I call the 50 first dates. We don't want to keep saying, oh, hi, we're Cisco. And it's like, yeah, I just got off the phone with so-and-so. We want to be able to connect who they are, offline and online, and understand where they're coming from and be able to just step right in and say, hey, I saw that you had this experience. I see that you have these products. Here, let me help you. And that's going to change the overall relationship with that customer.
And I think the one-to-one marketing that Don Peppers talked about, the idea to be able to have a personal relationship with your customer, was an idea of, and the goal of CRM, but it was more, at least in my experience working in management consulting, it was more transactionally oriented, right? So you had a customer record, but were you creating a relationship? Did you really know what tools they have? When was the last time that you contacted them? And unfortunately, sometimes what you see in call centers is companies still don't have that basic customer data or correctly. And now we're adding social. So tell me, how are you collecting the social media identity, maybe Facebook or Twitter or blogs, and matching that to a CRM database?
So we've implemented social login on Cisco.com about a year ago. And we're able to do the identity matching there. So they're connecting with us with a social login, and they're connecting that with their Cisco ID so that we can start getting that full picture. So they're sharing with us. For those, that really helps for people who are newer to our site or who are responding to new offers. So they go through that process as well. For people who have been customers for longer, other ways that we're engaging with them and trying to get that data is we've deployed a gamification program on our blogs. And it's using a social login for that as well. So we have long life customers joining that program, and again connecting those identities so that we can start getting that full picture.
Nice. And what are you looking to use? Or I guess you have a gamification platform. Is that something you guys created?
Yeah, it is something that we created ourselves with our IT group, and it's a lot like like in a bunch ball or Badgeville. That same concept where people are gaining badges for different achievements, if you will, that we assign on the blogs.
Right. And do you see that the people who get the points, are points motivating people?
They certainly are, especially in our support community. That has a separate gamification, just we're using the standard Jive one for that. But people are so serious about their points. And even the badge, when we first launched it, we don't have this much of a problem there, but there was a little bit of delay in the badges. And right away, people were emailing us, I think I should have my badge reader one or whatever. Like, oh, don't worry, it'll come. And they were really waiting for that. And it was interesting to see. And we had it was the most commented blog for that month when we launched the program, we were talking about it. People were just so excited. Oh, I'm so glad Cisco's doing this. I can't wait. And so we got a lot of engagement. I mean, people want to connect with your brand, and so this gave them an opportunity to do that.
I think what's really interesting and really important for customers and companies to come to that understanding, especially for executives, is that there are brands who have major advocates. The fans really want to connect, and oftentimes I think companies don't really realize that there are brand, fans like that, and they also don't know what to do with them. So there was a Harvard business study, and I think it said something like 8% of CMOs know about this and fewer actually engage with them. And so it looks like you're able to put structure and some business objectives around interacting with these people and showing great results.
Yeah, I mean, some of those customers, it may just be, that we're engaging with them to change their experience to a positive one. It may end with that. Sometimes they're going to go off and become an advocate for us, and that continues that funnel of them becoming more of, loyalty and that advocacy funnel. So it allows you to engage in a new way and build a relationship in a new way. And it's a deeper way than a traditional sales call or sales opportunity will do.
Excellent. So tell me what you're doing on YouTube.
We are doing a lot of experimentations with the annotations. I'm really excited about that new feature. There's just so many creative things you can do as far as tying your videos together with little thumbnails, clickable thumbnails on the bottom of your video. You can create your own storylines, threading storylines, so you can go off and people can choose their ending. We have calls to action back to our website and to our subscriber channel. We've only been doing that for less than 6 months, and we already have more subscribers and twice as much subscribers than our closest competitor. YouTube was our top 5 traffic referrals to our new brand campaign. So I mean, YouTube is really becoming a valuable lead generation source for us, a valuable way to connect with our users. They like video content. It tells that story, and they're wanting to hear it.
And they want to see the how-to. So let's say that I'm a customer, I'm watching a YouTube video, I see the call to action. What happens once I act on that call to action? Am I being taken to a landing page, or who interacts with me? What's that process?
So it depends on the video. So we're still in pilot phase to see what's working really well. We are trying to make that first call to action, which is at the 15-second mark, specifically because that's where the highest drop-off happens. And we're trying to make that call to action related to the video. So nice. if you're watching a video about the ASR 9000 router, the call to action is probably going to take you to that landing page. If you're watching a video about our collaboration solutions, it's going to take you to this collaboration solution page. So very relevant to what you're watching. At the end of the video, we have that call to action to become a subscriber, to subscribe to our channel, because our thinking is, hey, if they watch the whole video, they're a little bit more engaged, they're more invested. We want to build up a better, longer-term relationship with those folks. If they start becoming a subscriber, we have a way to communicate with them now, ongoing. They have access. They can see when we post new videos. They get alerted. They get notified. So that's what we're doing right now. We also are piloting on some of the more videos that are a little bit further down the sales cycle. That's the intention. Mm-hmm. We're piloting with calls to action to connect with a partner, and we're seeing great success with that as well. So we're piloting different things right now. We haven't gotten too creative on the annotations yet, but we're working on something that'll be coming out soon. So how we can, really think outside of the YouTube box.
Excellent. That's great. Anything else you want to leave me with today?
I just on the topic of social CRM, I really think that's the future of social media. I really think that elevates the conversation outside of just how am I managing my Facebook and Twitter account, but really how am I driving business intelligence. It brings the conversation to an executive that they want to hear. Their ears are wide open when you're talking at that level. And I just think that's a huge opportunity for social media leaders to also elevate their jobs and make it, that this is a real opportunity and career growth within your company. It's not just about managing a community, but there's more to it.
Right, and that's we've really gone beyond the like, thank goodness. Yes. Those of us who came from the CRM world, and we really know that what we're looking at is really transforming how we do business, understanding our customers, getting that customer record and information, and really increasing sales and revenue and decreasing costs.
Exactly, and that's what we want to do.
So I'm here with Matt, and this is one of my favorite sports in the whole world, swimming. And we're going to talk a lot about youth, social media, looking at sponsors. You're going to be talking about that this afternoon. And the whole idea about, and we mentioned this when we were chatting earlier, what's great about these conferences and the people that you meet is they're the change agents. They're the ones who are so passionate about their brand. They really want to get out there. They want to promote it. They completely believe in it. So for me, one of the most important things is to actually meet people like you who are out there in the field completely doing this. So how'd you get started?
Oh, it's a great question. I agree with you about these people. They all they're here for a reason. They believe in their company or their brand and want to do something about it. And the short version is I got in this business through college sports information. Not good enough to make it as an athlete, so went to the administration side and came up through a path of sports publicity at the college level and the Olympic level, and eventually transitioned over to the marketing and business side of it.
So at the core of it, you're really, truly an athlete. And now you're an athlete fan.
Maybe a slight wannabe on the athlete side, but absolutely love sports, and it makes it an exciting place to go to work every day.
So that's what's really key. I think people really finding their niche and what they're passionate about. So when you have to, it's always key to me when you look at Sunday night, and if you think, oh, I have to get up, it's Monday morning, or if you're like, oh my God, I can't wait, this is going to be so great, we're going to have another thing, that really, that makes all the difference. Okay, so let's talk about swimming and youth, and how do you get them interested?
A lot of our job at USA Swimming, and we're based in Colorado, and we're most known for the Olympic team. They steal the headlines, but at our core, we're a youth sports organization with 300,000 members across the country in swim clubs, from 8 years old up to the Michael Phelps.
Oh, the teeny tots. They're so cute, so impressionable. And that's so important because I know in interviewing young people, having them be passionate about something, especially exercise, really gives them an alternative to some of the other things that they could be doing in grade school and high school. And also having a physical outlet really drives, I think, their whole body chemistry and brain chemistry and passion. So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. It's just as much fun to try to get kids involved in the sport as it is promoting the Olympic team, and that's one of the best things about the job.
So tell me more about the promotion aspect.
We do a lot of different things, and one of the big things that we try to do is not only ride the Olympic wave of excitement to get youth involved in the sport. That's a huge part of it, but it's also happening year-round. That's a once every 4-year event. And so mainly our marketing efforts appeal to mom. We feel like she drives the decisions in most households.
There's a statistic, it's called the power of the purse, and it says that 85% of all purchases or decisions are made by females, and I have a couple guys that will argue with me on that, and I say, okay,
I'm
that
not one of them.
big screen TV that you want to buy and it's ugly and it takes up too much space in your living room, if you brought that home, would your wife or girlfriend say yes? They're like, oh, I get it. I don't always get to do everything I want. It ends up in the man cave.
That's exactly right. And we always say, mom drives the bus on sport participation decisions. And
she literally may be driving the bus
that's
too.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And so a lot of our marketing outreach to get kids involved in the sport is very mom targeted. And as you said before, that child, whether boy or girl, has to really like it and enjoy it, because swimming's not an easy sport. It's difficult. And so we talk about enjoyment and fun and friends at that age. And we really never bring in the O word, the Olympic world at that age, because it's
Too much
relevant.
is too big. It's too far-reaching. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what we try to do in one of our big initiatives going forward is to see about how we can pull our industry together, swimsuit manufacturers, technology companies.
So this is your sponsorship strategy.
In terms of building youth participation. We looked at other industries such as golf, got milk, pork, the other white meat, and they all came together as an industry to grow participation or grow sales in their respective category. In swimming, we're not the largest sports industry, so we feel like we have to pool our resources. Excuse the bad pun.
I just got that. Just dawned on me. I'm going to jump in. Oh yes. Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in social media with respect to your promotions.
Well, one of the things, we're a fairly typical company with really expanding on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest. Probably one of the most innovative things that we did that's a subject of the conversation today at this summit is we built an RFID kind of radio frequency identification badge that was part of our fan experience at our Olympic trials, which enabled people to immediately share everything they did through Facebook and email with a simple tap on some electronic towers, and try to take...
Is that a physical tower at the event itself?
Yeah, they're kind of like almost like scanning towers where you register up front, connect your account with Facebook, and then you go throughout the fan experience area and take pictures or share, and it makes it really, really easy for people, because you take... there's no such thing as a local event anymore. It's all global because of social media. And so it was a technology and a social media program that we ran to really just enhance that sharing aspect and make it really, really easy for people.
That's the cool thing, because you have some people at the physical event, right? And so some brands are forgetting about the physical part of their brand. But so you have people physically at an event, and then the ability to share and have other people who aren't there experience it. I was watching the news this morning, and they were talking about the Olympics in Russia. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go, but I would like to see what's happening there.
If London was the Twitter Olympics, it was so-called, and the athletes and everyone who's participating is far more aggressive, and I mean that in a good way, with social media than ever before. And so we don't always rely on the media to tell us what's happening. We can hear directly from the competitors and the participants in it. And it's a really exciting, engaging way to experience any type of event, whether it be a local marketing event or a global sports event, in a different way, straight through the competitor's eyes.
Right, and that's what's really fascinating, because a day in the life of, right, the day in the life of the fan or an athlete, and that's really, in the old days we used to call behind the scenes, and now we're on the scenes.
Yeah, and it's happening real time, and we see the great things about it. We see the occasional flubs from athletes.
It happens, and I mean, it's all a learning experience. None of us are immune from making mistakes, but I think it's a new medium and we're all learning.
That's right, and what we've learned very, very quickly is whether it be how quickly something can go right or wrong.
Right. We do a lot of work with brands, helping them, calculate the ROI, but then also, if you do have a PR crisis, we've calculated the ROI of nipping that in the bud. And often social media is the key to that, because if you nip it, what we find is the press is looking to social media for a story, and if you nip the story before it grows, then the press goes, this is not going to be so much fun.
That's exactly right. It's become such a piece of the communication tool as much as a press release or a statement or media advisory. And it's a place that people are looking for honesty and candor. And
what a unique, genuine, authentic, direct communication. Because, I mean, there's a lot of spin, right? So whether you're a corporation or a nonprofit or a media personality, sometimes people use that to their advantage to spin it, because that's what gets eyeballs. But then the fans, you look at Edelman's Trust Barometer, and basically they're showing that people trust other people more than they trust brands. So some affiliation, it seems to me, a brand with their fans and having the story told by the fans is really key.
I agree, and I think it's one of the best mediums for showing the human side of your company, a personality. It's hard to do in a press release, and
it's nearly impossible. It's black and white, it's flat, and we work a lot with companies about brand persona, and they don't even know what they're like brand persona. Like, we have a personality, we have traits, we have things we would say and not say, and so I think because social media is a storytelling medium, it lends itself to the ability to tell stories and to really outshine other brands if you've got that developed.
That's exactly right. And I think you'll find companies, our company in particular, is we're really proactive about answering people's questions if they post it on Twitter. And they're the type of thing that may be interesting to people, but we would never think to put that in a press release. But it's an easy way to communicate with people and engaging and answer questions about what's going on.
Well, I think also, like you just mentioned, that social media is the new way to really understand what your fans are really interested in, and it might completely take the direction of your program, your press release, your offerings, or what you say to moms. So what else do you want to leave me with, Matt, before we close out here?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's just thinking about my job on a day-to-day basis and how much fun it is, but also how we...
You hear that, people? A job is fun. That is really important. If you are not having fun, you need a new job.
I totally agree. And it's fun to carve out a niche. While swimming is big at the Olympics, we compete with the major professional leagues from a corporate partner standpoint. On
like NFL.
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis for that share of, corporate support. And it's all about how we do it.
Corporations out there, how could you not love this man and what he's doing? Sponsor him, really, seriously. It's not a question, it's a do it.
We're going to get along just fine.
No, I really appreciate what you're doing, especially with the youth credits. Really, I have a couple of nephews and nieces, and I see how sports has played a really big impact on their lives. So kudos to what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. It's great. Thank you.
I'm here with Pete from the Boston Celtics, and I am a Lakers fan, but still I think we can still do the interview. So tell me, Pete, you have been with the Celtics for 8 years. You've seen the evolution from websites all the way to social to mobile. So give us some insight on what you're doing in mobile, and we'll talk about some of your other strategies because they sound really fascinating.
Yeah, no question. And for us, I've been with the team since when I first started, it was just Celtics.com, and that was really what we were doing in digital. And since then, obviously, it's become Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest, and now mobile app. We just launched our mobile app late December. We've got about 50,000 people who've already downloaded it on iPhone and Android. And we think it's a powerful platform for us. It helps us learn where our fans live. We can have offers where we can draw a radius around 5 miles around the TD Bank North Garden in Boston and say, hey, if you're in the area, we'll send you a push notification. We've got tickets available for the night. So really being able to take advantage of the technology that's inherent in that phone, and a device that fans are literally waking up with it next to them at their bed, and 14, 15 hours later they fall asleep and it's next to their pillow. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, we definitely are attached to our smartphones, and it sounds like geolocation. So that's the ability to be able to push a message to people in a local geographic instance. And how are you able to determine where those people are?
Well, so for us, that all kind of happens on the back end. It's funny, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were talking about Foursquare and fans checking in and saying, hey, I'm at the Garden. Well, this is the other way around. I think it's far more powerful. It's your device telling us where you are, and then we send you a marketing message based on that. And so I think really that's the future. When people have talked about location-based marketing for a long time, relying on fans to check in just doesn't work for us. Again, 18,000 people come to a game on game night. About 100 of those might check in on Foursquare. Well, obviously, when we've got 50,000 people downloading the mobile app, a lot of those fans live in the area, and if we've got tickets or merchandise we want to sell, and we can hit them based on where they are, and knowing that, hey, these fans are in the neighborhood of the game, that's pretty powerful, and we think that's kind of the future of what that mobile device will allow us to do.
So in your database, so let's talk about CRM because I'm an old CRM now, social CRM person. So in your database, you're telling me that you have fans' information and also a general idea of where they live.
Right.
So when you push out something on a smartphone, you're basically, who you're really marketing to in that local geography.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, it's funny, we're obviously at a social media conference and people don't talk about email, but email marketing is still king. Everybody knows that's where the revenue is driven. So for me, I look at the database as the center of everything we do in digital, and my strategy is really to push fans from all those different platforms, whether it's Facebook, your website, Twitter, and get them to sign up, get into your database, do that value exchange, and then we can get those fans into a marketing program. That's really where we're going to make our money and our ROI off social. Everybody wants to know what the ROI of social media is, and it's not your mom, it's getting people into the database.
I know. I did a session yesterday about the ROI of social media, and
Right.
people are saying things like, would you calculate the ROI of your mom or putting your pants on in the morning? And it cracks me up because, we're obviously data analytics people. The data's there. It's just a matter of sitting down, digging in, finding the gold, and making attribution.
Yeah, no question. And I think people who want to say, the ROI is, you're putting on your pants. That to me is just lazy. I sat at a conference one time and there was a CMO of a very large apparel company sat in there and said, yeah, we could measure, but we don't think we need to. And I'm like, how are you the CMO of this company? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we saw the statistics for CMOs are about a year now. So note to all CMOs out there, if you need help and you want to save your job, come talk to us because we can calculate the return on investment for not only social but lots of things. So tell me your overall strategy in terms of identifying fans and then turning those fans into brand ambassadors or advocates.
Well, it's funny. I think for us it's a little different because obviously our brand is covered so much in the mainstream media to begin with, right? So whereas a Coke or a Pepsi may be really interested in finding influencers, we already know who those influencers are. They're media members, but they're also directly us because fans will know to come to follow the Boston Celtics. They come to the games. We have a nonstop channel to push them to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, come to the website, whatnot. So for us, really, when it comes down to influencers, the media personalities who cover our team on a regular basis, fans just, with the exception of a few celebrity fans perhaps, don't really ever gain any sort of huge influence for us. It's really about those reporters that cover the team. But ultimately, for us, it's about we can distribute the news in some cases quicker than the media can. If it comes directly from us, we want to push that out first to our fans so they can get that and really capture that conversation, whereas there's certain things like trade rumors and stuff that we can't really comment on and we don't really have a ton of voice in those conversations. But overall, I think a sports brand is unique in the sense that you're not seeking out kind of the brand ambassadors, so to speak, because you already have a very well-defined set of influencers, if you will, around that brand.
So you don't consider, generally when I work with brands, there's the overall fan base, and then there are the people who have the largest reach and who are actually interacting the most with a brand. Do you look at that?
We do to some extent, but I'll be honest, we don't spend a lot of time with it because ultimately the message that come out about our team, if a player is injured, if a player gets into something off the court, those types of things, we obviously put out statements that news reaches people, and then the reporters, the websites, the Boston Globe, the Herald, the TV stations that cover us really have that voice. And so much of what fans do online is retweeting the stories, the rumors they hear out in the media. And so for us, we're kind of uniquely, and I think the sports industry is like this, it's just very unique, and it's just different from a lot of the consumer brands who really do need to spend a lot of time figuring out sentiment analysis, influencers, those types of things. For us, we already know the sentiment. When we go into the Garden, we play a game. If we lose, you can get booed off the court if you get blown out. Everything about our brand is already measured from the standpoint of the scoreboard, the standings, playoff series, all those types of things. So the sports world is just a little bit different in that respect, for sure.
It makes sense. I've been working with this company called Infinigraph, and they take big data and they look at a industry comparison. So it would be Lakers or whoever you consider your competitors, and they're able to look at volume of posts as well as the level of engagement. Do you do competitive analysis?
I think we do to some degree. We certainly spend a lot of time trading notes. As much as the Celtics and Lakers are rivals on the court, off the court, I spend a lot of time talking to my colleagues at the Lakers, the Trailblazers, the Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls, because we're all dealing with the same issues, just with a completely different set of people, right? So a Celtics fan is not a Lakers fan, so they're unlikely to follow the Lakers and kind of do those things. But the audiences are very different. The Lakers obviously have the biggest social audience in sports, at least in North America, and we're number 2 generally. The Heat, the Bulls are, again, way up there. But so we all kind of have some of the same problems, issues, advantages as sports brands and as major sports brands. But in terms of competitive, the rankings and the vanity metrics, and we've got more Facebook followers than you and that type of thing. We spend a lot more time trading notes about what works, what doesn't, what types of promotions work to get fans into your database, what types of experiences can we give. So, we were one of the first teams, I believe, to have a live chat with our player across our mobile app last week. We had Avery Bradley, one of our young players, come in, sit down. We had a sponsor put on the presentation, so they picked up the cost of producing the event. We streamed the event through our website and through the mobile app and told fans, hey, listen, tweet in, ask a question in real time. Avery will answer them. And so Avery took questions from the fans. So a really unique experience where, something like that wasn't possible a couple of years ago. But now we can really provide, access, unfettered access to our players, to our fans directly through that app that, just simply wasn't something you could do a couple of years ago.
That's the fascinating thing about how fast technology is moving, and also taking a look at how do you integrate all that. So it sounds to me like you're using video, which tends to be a very popular format of content, which is part of what I'm using that app for, Infinigraph, to look at hyper curation, what kind of content do fans really like and interact with, and then applying one of the most popular types of format, photos or video, to mobile apps. How did your fans react to that?
Our fans love it, and I think it's, whenever you can give them an experience they can't get anywhere else, that's big with them. In the sports world, you have a lot of fan blogs where, they'll put up these websites just dedicated to covering us, and when we put something like that out, they instantly are going to share it with their audience. I think it's an interesting time now because the players themselves are kind of media outlets. As again, everybody at a social media conferences, right? Everybody's tweeting about what is being set up on stage, and as I was just up there, people are tweeting about what I'm saying and hitting me back and asking questions. Well, the players have a much larger platform now, and so the interesting dynamic for us is that it used to be when you talked about the Boston Celtics, it was whatever was written in the Herald or the Globe or on TV. Now, in the last 5 to 6 years, we've got our own website, we've got our own platforms, a large, 7 million followers on Facebook.
You have citizen journalists.
You certainly do to some degree, and I think that's more dangerous for the players themselves than our brand. I think when I've talked to our players about social, the big concern they have is that their private lives are not the same anymore. If they go to the mall, they end up in a photo, or if they are not feeling up to signing an autograph at dinner because somebody comes up to their table and interrupts them, then somebody tweets, I just ran into so-and-so and he wouldn't sign an autograph, and they're upset. Those types of things are really... Stars,
sports players, they're all people, and they need some privacy, and I think people don't really completely understand those boundaries. So you have the Celtics brand. How do the individual players figure out... I mean, it's a very time-consuming to tweet and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. How do your players manage all that? I'm working with a company called Cahoots, and they help SMBs, for the most part, some larger brands, manage all of that, so they actually tweet and Facebook for them. And you still have to do it yourself, but it really helps with managing some of that.
Well, most of the younger players that we have on our team, the guys who are 22, 23, a couple of years out of college, they've grown up with this stuff, and so they do it themselves. They're on it, and that's where it's, makes me a little nervous, just because, in a moment of, they're just not thinking, they might respond to a fan in a way that, exactly. After a tough loss and a fan says, you didn't have a good game, and they're frustrated, those things can kind of happen. The bigger...
You can get hooked, because I know that I've had people make comments about me, and they don't even know me, or they don't really misunderstood something, and then I'll tweet back and I'll say, you know what, let's talk about this, right? And then if they're really one of those people that just likes to say negative things, they usually go away. And then other times, you can turn it around, and what's interesting is the 1-9-90 rule, where 1% post, 9% respond, and 90% are lurking. And it's really that lurking audience that's really key.
Yeah, no question. And for our players, when you talk about a guy, like a Paul Pierce has 2.5 million, 3 million followers. Rajon Rondo, again, another popular guy, has got a couple million followers. The amount of volume that a guy like that is going to get, they can't possibly respond to everybody. There's no chance. Some of the younger players, they're getting more established, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 followers. That's where it gets a little, spotty, and there are times where you kind of have to try to rein the guys in a little bit. But at the same time... you
want to be human and genuine and authentic, right? So that's an interesting fine line.
Yeah, no question. And I think our guys largely get it. I think it's more of just... it's ubiquitous, and it's something, especially because they're in the public eye, they're dealing with it constantly, and I still think they still look at it as, because they've grown up with it, this is just a part of life. The older guys who've been around a long time, they're generally not nearly as interested in participating in it and really kind of having the one-on-one dialogue, but the younger guys especially are really into it.
That makes total sense. Well, thank you, Pete, so much. Good luck to the Celtics. And I can't wait to go to a game. Maybe there's some tickets in my future.
We're playing the Lakers tomorrow night back at home. I'm actually jumping on the plane for that. But, I don't know. Lakers fans, it's tough to want to take care of Lakers fans.
All right, you heard it here.
Well, and I can't believe, I guess I should believe it now, that players are actually paying attention to their fans through the use of social media.
You check that out, whether it's the Lakers or the Celtics, players have now become social media people.
Now, let me tell you something. I noticed that there's one company that was not in all of these interviews we just showed. Tell me why, Dr. Natalie.
Well, I have a special place in my heart for certain companies, in particular SAP. And part of the reason is it is a brand that's 40 years old. They have gone through many changes over the years, and they are truly using social media to transform every aspect of their company. And they are looking at large returns on investment. And I talk to people all the time, and they say, "Oh, well, social media, it's only good for B2C companies." This is a B2B company that's using a B2P strategy, which really means business to people.
It truly gets it. This is one of the ones that we can say, besides American Express, that we can say they get what their customers are about, and they're changing the whole company around.
Right. It's inside out. It's outside in. It's using all that social content to truly understand and do that self-reflection, which is so key to really creating a great company.
All right, so do we go see it right now?
Let's go.
No, we can't. We said next week. So you have to wait.
I can't wait.
We're gonna have to wait. So you will have to tune in, and until next time.